Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 70 countries, such as the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, South Korea, Malaysia, Indonesia, Sweden, Norway. So I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that has changed our lives and how we use them to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us live right here on Blog Talk Radio Network, Tuesday through Friday. You can join our Facebook community, Life Transformation Radio Community. I also ask that you subscribe to Life Transformation Radio. Please subscribe to Life Transformation Radio wherever you're comfortable listening to podcasts. We are available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, Castbox, the Google Play Music app, the Himalaya app. Wherever you are comfortable listening to podcasts, please subscribe to the show and never miss an episode. On the show, I bring on entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, amazing people who are impacting the world around them. And my guest today does exactly that. If you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, you can call us up at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. And with that, please help me welcome to the show for this evening is my friend, Joy Idries. Joy, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Thank you, Sean. It's wonderful to be here.
Joy, tell everybody where you're calling in from.
I'm actually calling in from London, UK.
I love it. Been to London, loved going to Piccadilly Circus. And that was cool to me. Like, that was like the New York, you know what I mean? Like the New York of London. Like it's the big square. Like
right.
Everybody's there. It's got tons of people, lights and billboards, and it's like there's a lot going on. You know,
true.
and I
don't know.
I loved it. Yep, lots and lots of activity. So I want to thank you for coming on the show, and we've been talking a lot through social media. And I just want to tell you that I really appreciate you sharing out my content and, engaging on social media like you have. And even your content. I love the things that you post. And so it's just a joy to have you on the show. And so we can really dive into who you are, what you do, and how you're helping the world.
Fantastic. And the feeling's mutual. I love being in your community and listening to what you have to say. And I feel very much in alignment with it.
Perfect. Yeah. You know, I do the spiritual resilience, and then we talked about a spiritual awakening. I'm like, I got to have you on the show. like this has to happen. You know, when I heard your story and I read your stuff, I'm like, yep, this is all about transformation. So this episode is titled A Spiritual Awakening of Transformation with Joy Idries. Joy's mission is to support the new movement of growing conscious awareness that is happening around the world. Working to facilitate this transformation, she has the experience and wisdom to safely and lovingly guide seekers through the veils and blocks of the old paradigm to move into an awareness of their own highest truth where total peace, contentment, and joy can be found. Her passion is to facilitate deep heart connection and healing on the path of surrender to the divine. Her own spiritual awakening, along with opening to her intuitive and healing gifts, came from the decision one weekend to let go of a lifetime of struggle, emotional and physical pain, darkness, and despair. Joy makes use of a wide range of techniques and processes in her work, which have been blended over time into her own unique approach and style. They include inner spiritual adventures, dynamic interactive meditation, energy work, mindfulness, sacred clouding, family constellation work, and more. Facebook and LinkedIn profile links are all in the show notes. Her website, trulytransformational.co.uk. trulytransformational.co.uk. And you can join her Facebook group. Search Truly Transformational, and you can join Joy's group. So, Joy, I love all of that. There's a lot to unpack. I want to know what your why is. Like, what is your deep why for what you do?
Yeah, my why was born through going through so much suffering in my life and having experienced what I've experienced and all the blocks and all of the conflict and all of the physical illness, just a whole era of trauma. And then I actually healed in one miraculous weekend. And that was just so amazing for me that I just needed to share that with the world, how it could be done. It's like, wow, how can this happen so quickly? After all the years I've spent, in pain and desperation, and for it to transform like that. You could click your fingers and there you go. You're just somewhere else completely. I was left with a sense of peace inside of me that's never left me since. And I released trauma. I let go of it in such a way that I never needed to address it again. It was gone, out of the body. At the point that I experienced that miraculous turnaround, just as I was going into this, it was a weekend seminar, like a retreat, healing retreat. And I was going in there with chronic fatigue, depression, had been crying for years, backache that I'd had for about 20 years. And my body was like saying to me, you're not going anywhere until you sort this out. I was completely closed down. And this was a last-ditch attempt for me. I was thinking, if this doesn't work, I'm just going to go and curl up in a corner and not do anything. I'm going to withdraw from the world. I don't want to do anything or talk to anyone.
Wow.
But fortunately for me, it worked. I did get to have my miracle, my turnaround. And I came out of that weekend laughing, dancing, singing, ready for life, full of energy.
Good.
My son was 10 years old at the time. When he saw me coming out and being the way I was being, he said a few words to me that really touched my heart. And that was, "Oh, I like the new mummy." It was so wonderful to hear that, after years of not being able to engage with my son properly because of being too exhausted and having too much pain, and being depressed. So it was
right.
A complete new lease of life. And that became my why, to spread that, to help everybody else, to break free from the chains of suffering and to unleash their own true freedom and their own true joy.
That's amazing.
So, yeah. So then I actually went on the course. There was a course called an Inner Journey Practitioner course linked to this retreat, and I trained in it. And from there I started to, take clients and spread the word.
Very cool. So what would you say in all of that is a transformational moment that took place? Was it that weekend? Was it something specific about the weekend? What was that transformational moment that changed your life and put you on the path to what you're doing today?
Yeah. It was a process within the weekend, and it was an inner guided journey process where you access, first of all, you access your body and you let your inner wisdom take you wherever it needs to take you in your body. And when you arrive there, you open to whatever emotion is stored there, because we repress our emotions, and this is a way of kind of bringing it up and out to awareness. So I reached a memory which I knew I had, but I hadn't dealt with, so it kind of brought it up for resolution, for completion. And this memory was when I was raped at the age of 14.
Whoa.
And I was, I was violently raped in a way that I thought I was going to die, because at the time I was screaming for help, and the rapist put his hands around my throat to stop me screaming, and he was squeezing so tight I couldn't breathe. So it was quite traumatic, and however, I did manage to escape. But I repressed this experience. I didn't talk to my mother and father about it. They actually weren't available for that kind of talk. They had many problems, alcoholism and stress and so on, poverty. And so they just weren't available. So I just pushed it down and tried to carry on my life, without thinking about it anymore. However, of course, it had affected my body. It had brought me to this place of
100%.
shutdown. Yeah, because I was spending so much energy holding it all in that I didn't have any energy left to, to have a healthy body and a healthy life, really. So I released this memory. What I mean by releasing is you get to have an opportunity to speak to whoever is involved in that memory, to say whatever you need to say and to hear back whatever needs to be heard, and including other people. So I had a conversation with the rapist in my inner imagination, and with my mom and dad. And it's a conversation about feelings. So, not about blame, but about I felt disgusted, I felt disempowered, I felt hopeless, whatever, all these kind of feelings, to let them out. And the magic of that is you're allowing your feelings to be acknowledged, whereas before they had been pushed down and repressed, so they just came out to be acknowledged.
Yep.
And the magic also of this process is all of this takes place within a much bigger embrace of compassion, love and compassion, unconditional love. And the rapist said what he had to say, and it was back and forth until everything was finished. There's nothing else to say. It was all done, complete. And at that moment, you can come to a place of forgiveness or letting go, And what happens is at the physical level, our cells, they hold on to the memories that we have. And when a cell dies, it usually passes on the memory to the next generation of cells. Well, in this process, you interrupt the memory, release it, create a space, and then fill up the cell, or fill up the space with new resources, which you choose yourself. So things like self-confidence, self-worth, understanding that your purity is not touched. Whatever happens to you on the inside, on the outside, doesn't touch what you are on the inside, which was a really important message for me to hear at that time. That your beauty is not touched by whatever's on the outside. It's your beauty still remains on the inside. So breathing in, you breathe in these resources so that you embody them, put them into the cell, so that next time that cell dies, it passes on the new resources. If it's emptied the memory, so it doesn't pass on the memory, it passes on the new resources to the next generation of cells. So over time, as your cells regenerate throughout your body, they're regenerating with all of these wonderful resources, self-confidence and understanding the bigger picture and self-love and compassion and so on. And this...
Wow.
Yeah, releasing all of the suppressed emotion as well had an immediate effect on the body. It unblocked whatever was blocking the energy flow. And this is what led to me being completely healed in that weekend and in that session, really. But I count it as the whole weekend, because the weekend helps you to build up to being mindful and developing the practice of meditation and, being able to reflect inwardly and so on. So you kind of developing your spiritual muscles, and then you do the process, and then, it becomes an easy thing. So it was absolutely amazing.
Wow. It sounds like it was amazing. It also sounds like there's a level of acceptance that has to take place during this transformation. It seems like the work that gets done inside of your mind, body, soul, spirit, all that, there's a level of acceptance that you're using. Like, instead of burying it, instead of, acting like it didn't happen or whatever, is this happened. This is how I feel, like acknowledging, right? This is how I feel. This is what I think, feel, and believe about the situation, right?
Yeah.
It happened. Because most people are like, you know what? I don't even want to talk about it. Let's just forget that it ever happened. But it doesn't work that way, because your body still remembers it, even though you're trying.
Exactly.
It's like where focus goes, energy flows. If you focus on trying to not think about it, you inevitably end up thinking about it. And then it doesn't work otherwise.
Exactly.
So you have to spend time and energy on something that you're trying to forget. You're literally asking yourself, what can I do to accept and acknowledge the things that have happened? And once you do that and you acknowledge and accept that these things happened, you can then move forward to deal with the stuff that you dealt with or happened to you, or the adversity or whatever you're trying to go around.
Yeah, that is so true. And also I found that I noticed a pattern that had started in the womb, actually, an understanding of life that bore out in my experiences up until the point that I had this transformative experience. And the rape was just one of them. And like you were saying,
know your attacker? Did you know your attacker? Did you know who it was, or was it just random?
I did know my attacker.
That's interesting.
I was at that age of wanting, and I know I accept part of my responsibility in this. Although at 14 years old, there's not that much responsibility really, but at that time I actually felt very guilty. But I was looking for affection. I was looking for love. My parents weren't able to give it to me. I was in a swimming pool, and this man started talking to me, and I was so thrilled that I was actually receiving some attention that I knew I was babysitting that night, and I invited him to come and have coffee where I was babysitting, not knowing what that meant. At that age, I didn't have boyfriends. I didn't know anything about boyfriends and girlfriends and things like that. But I'd heard it somewhere, maybe on TV or something. Come back for coffee,
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, this guy's going to come, have a cup of coffee with me. I'll give him a coffee and some biscuits, and we'll sit and chat and watch TV. And he might give me a peck on the cheek or something, or even a peck on the lips would be nice. That's the way I was thinking at that time. But of course, it all turned very ugly, because he thought that I was coming on to him and that I should deliver, basically. So it became very, very nasty. They threw me to the floor, pinned me down, and I was trying to wriggle free and scream and all of that, but he wasn't having it. So, that's the adrenaline kicked in for me, and I was able to throw him off. This is how I managed to escape from that. I think that when I knew I was going to die, that's when the adrenaline kicked in. So, part of that then, not telling my parents was thinking, they're going to blame me. They're going to say I shouldn't do that, or they're going to keep me in forever. I'll never be able to go out again. The kind of things that you think when you're a young girl.
Sure.
So I just put it down, just get on with life. But I did have this understanding that life was dangerous, and I think, like you were saying before about, I can't remember the exact words you used, but this sense of, if you're focused on pushing it down, for example, your subconscious is still looking out.
Energy flows.
Yeah, but the subconscious is the focus here. I was geared into survival mode. And so the subconscious is looking out for danger. And so maybe that was attracting the danger, to confirm that the world is a dangerous place. I mean, if I go back to my experience in the womb, for example, when I was just about to be born, it was a home birth. My mother, my grandmother, waiting for my father to come. And he didn't turn up until the last minute. And when he turned up, he was absolutely drunk, out of his head. He couldn't do a thing or couldn't even speak properly, as they describe it. And my grandmother was so angry about that she hit him over the head with a frying pan. And this frying pan was one of those heavy lead ones. I know it sounds so funny now, but at that
cast
time,
iron.
The cast iron frying pan, and knocked him unconscious. And
awesome.
She thought she had killed him. So my mother went into shock. And the shock went through me as the baby just about to be born. And I actually had an experience where I relived this experience and felt myself being shattered into a million pieces through the shock wave. So I got it.
Wow.
The world is a dangerous place and I could be annihilated any time. So I came into the world.
You're saying you remember that? Is that what you're saying? Like you remember this moment? Like you remember, or like you felt it, or like they told you that that's what happened?
They told me about the frying pan and hitting him, but I remembered being in the womb and I re-experienced the shattering moment. When I was experiencing it, even my mouth was going, I couldn't speak because I was a baby. I didn't have a language, but I actually felt it. That's
super interesting.
Sorry?
I said that is super interesting.
It is interesting, isn't it? However, in that re-experiencing, I also got a message from the divine that, okay, you got shattered, but here I am putting you back together again now. And I experienced myself being put back together again by the energy of the divine. So although I understood that the world was a dangerous place and I could be annihilated, I also got a message that I could regenerate or I could be regenerated. So
when you say divine, what do you mean divine? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, for me, God, source, God's source.
Okay,
wisdom.
Okay. Yeah, because some people say the universe, and they're like, well, I don't believe in God or Jesus Christ, but I believe there is a power. I don't know what it is. It's a higher power. I believe the universe, the living, the breathing. There's a universe. There's a, like a magnetic field on a magnet.
There's a love consciousness.
Right, like they're intuitively aware that there's something living, breathing among us that you can't see, but they don't know what it is, and whatever. Me, I'm like, there's God and there's Jesus Christ. Like that's me.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you say divine, I mean,
God. I use
when you
the
say
word
divine,
to cover all of those different interpretations. I mean, I believe that God has got many names, and so I use divine as a way of including everyone.
Oh, awesome! I love that. I love that because I've heard it say, the divinity, right? I've heard that, God say, like people refer to like, well, the divine God or the, like, okay, like that's, I'm just curious, why or how, people communicate their beliefs. I'm very super in tune that people have varying degrees of who am I to judge their beliefs or who am I to, geez, that's really, way left thinking or way out there. Like, wow, how could you ever think that? And because I've been doing this a long time, and I've interviewed a lot of people, and the things that people experience are real. The things that people have gone through are real. And I've had conversations with intuitives, and I've had conversations with people who have had these spiritual awakenings, and they describe it like so in detail that it's like, and consistently that it's like, it's real for them, So I find it super I find it super fascinating. You know, the
Me
conversation
too.
that you get into in the spiritual realm. You know,
Yeah,
I just find it super fascinating.
absolutely. Me too. And we're such a mixed family too. I mean, maybe that's why one of the reasons why I say divine, because I was brought up Catholic, and I'm
So was
now
I.
Muslim.
Yep.
I'm now
You're
Muslim.
Muslim now?
Yeah. And my
Wow.
sister is born
Big
again
jump.
Christian. I have another sister who is Buddhist.
Buddhist?
Another, yeah, a brother who is Catholic. He kind of reverted back to Catholicism after wandering away for a while. And a sister who is agnostic but believes in some kind of,
Oh, boy.
uh, you know,
That must be an
all-knowing.
interesting conversation at dinner.
Yeah, rather.
Right?
Oh, so
So
funny.
why the change? I mean, that's a big change, okay? Like, I just want to point that out. Like, that's a big change going from Catholicism to Muslim. I mean, that's a big leap. What prompted that?
I fell out with Catholicism by the time I was about 18, because I
So
saw a
did I.
lot of
18 years.
hi-
Yep.
18. I saw a lot of hypocrisy in it, and so I
Me too.
wanted to explore what else might be available. I
Yep.
started to look at lots of different philosophies and religions to see if I could
There's a lot.
sort out what the truth might be. you know.
Yeah. Well, there's a
Um,
lot. There's a
yeah,
lot of religions.
yeah, yeah,
A lot
yeah,
of religions. Some of them are
yeah.
kind of like denominations of, well, I mean, if you think about it, right, the Christian faith is like Lutherans, Catholics,
Yeah, so
Protestants,
many. Yeah,
you know, uh, starts with an M.
yeah.
Someone listening to the show is
Mormon.
yelling at me right now what it is. Um, um,
and,
Protestant,
and it,
I
yeah,
can't
so
remember what it's
many.
called. But anyway,
Even
someone's yelling at me
even
right now. It's
within
this.
even within Islam, there's lots of different sects and movements, So,
Yeah,
and I don't go for the outer so much as understanding the inner part. Just like in Christianity, you can
right.
have the Gnostics, and I'm more on the Gnostic side of Islam as well. And this is where we meet, because everything, when you get right down to the very depths of or the very heights, if you like, of
Right.
surrender to the divine, surrender to love, it's all one in the end. And for me, Islam just means peace and surrender. And the message of surrender to the divine brings peace. So, and this is a message for everyone. So this
Yeah.
is how I see it and how I understand it.
Yep. I've had many conversations because I was raised Roman Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
I've had many conversations about this with my family. Like, why do you believe this? I don't understand. Like, why are we praying to, in Catholicism, like, why are we praying to all these saints? And why are we praying? Like, why are we holding Mary on this pedestal? There's statues of this and statues. And I just look, and this is my biggest complaint, was that it says that you must not have any idols before me, and you must not like
Exactly.
like you can't
Yeah.
false
And in
gods and all
Islam,
that
the
stuff,
same.
right?
Do not associate
So it's like,
partners with me.
right. So why are we praying to Mary when Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life? Period. Dot. Like he said, I am the only way. Yet in the Catholic Church, we're praying to St. Peter, and we're praying to this guy, and we the prayers to this Mary, and we're holding Mary up, and we're idolizing Mary, and we're like, and I'm looking at all these statues, and I'm like, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me. And then if you look at the Lutheran denomination, they don't even pray to Mary or acknowledge Mary. They think that Jesus just appeared in a manger. Like that's not what they, what I'm saying? Like they don't, the exact opposite. They're like, oh, Mary was just the mom that raised Jesus, but Jesus just appeared in a manger. Like that's insane, but okay. I get it, So as I grew up, I actually lost my way a lot. Like, I was lost for many years.
Mm-hmm.
When I turned 18, I was like, I'm not going to church. I'm not a Catholic. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to be a part of this because it just doesn't make sense to me. And, you know, you go through all these communions and you have the sacraments of the church. And another thing that made me mad was that my mom made us go to confession. I'm like, why am I going to confession? Like, why am I doing it? Well, you have to confess your sins. I'm like, I can do that at my house. Like, I can do that in my room. Like, you're supposed to form a relationship with Jesus and with God, not confess your sins to a guy who calls himself a father, because there is one Father, and that is God Himself, divine. But then even more so, the guy says, oh, say 12 Hail Marys and you'll be absolved. Like, no, Jesus died on the cross so I could be absolved. So I don't need your repentance and I don't need your forgiveness because Jesus has already forgiven me. I'm remorseful. I didn't mean to do those things. God, I'm confessing to you because it says to confess your sins with your own tongue. But here I am confessing to a guy through a freaking paper screen or with a little woven screen inside the box who tells me to then say 5 Hail Marys. And all of a sudden I'm like, this is stupid. Like, I told him, I was like, this is dumb. This is so stupid to me. You know, and so when I was 18, I'm like, I'm out. Like, I'm not dealing with this no more. I'm out. And so now, today, I'm 35. Today, my wife and I and family, and we are Christians. That's it. And we, you know, we go to church. We go to a non-denominational church. We go to a Bible-based church. It's not, this is what our church believes. Our pastor says, if the Bible I hold in my hand says genuine leather, but I know it's plastic, to me, it is genuine leather. If the Bible says made of cow skin, then this thing is made of cow skin. We believe from cover to cover. We believe it from beginning to end. There is no other way. And so I just think it's fascinating as I dug into religion itself, how many different sects, like you said, how many different sects and areas of religion there are, and how diverse they are too, and where that diversity came from. Because somebody didn't believe something, so they said, I'm not doing that. This is what we believe, and then this started a religion or church, whatever. So, but no, I'm right with you. 18 years old. We're both 18 years old, and we're both like, I'm out. I'm not doing the Catholic thing anymore, and you know that. And that was that.
I'm going to start searching elsewhere.
Christian.
Yeah, I looked around. I came to the conclusion that God is love, but it was very pantheistic or something. Anyway, it kind of it was a bit vague, really. But it's about as far as I could go at that time. But I remember I had an experience, and this is when I was with my first husband, and we didn't have any money, and he wanted to go to see a hypnotherapist. He was having problems with his psyche, and we were hitchhiking to get to the hypnotherapist, which is about 17 miles away, I think it was at the time.
Were you in UK at this time?
In the UK, in the north of England.
Yeah. Okay.
And nobody was stopping. And I put out a prayer, and I said, God, I don't know what to think about you right now, but if you give us a lift to reach this hypnotherapist in time, I promise I will think about you in the future. That's about the best prayer I could put out at that time. I was being as sincere as I could be.
That is so awesome. I've done that so many times. I'm like, please God, let this situation or this, and I'll go to church for it. Like, you're bargaining with God at that point. Like, please God, if I survive, I'll do this and I'll do this and I'll do this.
Is within 1 minute we got the lift, and the lift. This guy took us all the way to this hypnotherapist's house and dropped us off just in time for the appointment. Perfect timing. So
that's amazing.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. I love those moments. That's the moment I love where you're like, okay, you know what? There's something. There's a universe. There's a God. There's something. There was last year, my wife and I were like, man, like we were gonna make dinner. I'm like, okay, let's get all the stuff, and I'm like, oh, like we don't have this. I'm like, come on, dude. and we had just gone grocery shopping, you know, and you're like, come on. So anyway, we go to grab jackets, and it's like the change in the weather, right? There's a change in the weather from summer to fall, and so it's like, we got to grab this jacket. We literally just got home. It was so annoying, and I was like, come on, God, please, like we have to have, I don't know, cinnamon or something. I don't know what it was, some kind of spices, whatever.
Yeah.
We needed like 2 or 3 spices, soy sauce or whatever. And we're like, come on, God, like I know we got some in here. Like, where is it? We're like, all right, well, let's go to the store. So we get our jackets on, and I reach into the pocket, and there's like $9 and like 30-something cents. And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
Where did this come from? We never knew where it came from. Like, did we go to a fair? Did we go to a car show? Like, where did we go? We got to the store, and we picked up all the ingredients that we needed, and it came out to $9.30-something. I was like, get that.
Oh,
no,
wow.
no way. No way. And we literally paid with the cash that we had.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think we had like 10 cents left over. And I was like, no way. Like, there's no way. Like, you can't even conceive this into a coincidence. As hard as you might try. There's no way this is. But it just proves there is a higher power. Yeah. It just does. I don't believe in coincidences. Exactly. I believe that everything is divinely it's divinely orchestrated for you, right? Life happens for you,
doesn't it? When you just know, there's a truth that you just know from that at that instant that something happens, or you feel a subtle message coming through, and you just know that is the truth. It's like that's there. I've had a few of those. They're amazing, absolutely amazing. Yeah.
You know what I love the most is that, have you ever had this happen? Okay, is you're trying to make a decision, and it's pray about it, just pray about it. Like, yeah, okay, I got that. But you're trying to make a decision, and you're thinking about it, and you just feel a pull in this one direction, and you just you just know that this is the way you should go, but your mind is second guessing. You're like, wait, that doesn't even seem right. Like, I don't. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. But no, maybe I'll do it this way. And you're like, I just feel like this is the way to go. Like, it just feels right. Right? Yeah. Have you ever had that happen?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
I love that feeling. I believe that's the universe. That's God. That's the divine. Like, that's I completely believe that is your inner spirit, your Holy Ghost, whatever you call it. It's telling you what to do. And a lot of people, they want to hear this audible click, right? They want to hear like Joy, pray this way and do this. This is God talking. Like, that's what they want to hear, right? Like, God, what should I do? You should choose door number 1. like that's what they want to hear. Am I right?
Yeah. I
love it when you make my decision.
Yeah, I think you can fine tune yourself to it as well, though. I've spent years developing my intuitive sense by looking for changes in, for example, does it make me feel light or does it make me feel heavy? And if I'm making decisions. So if it makes me feel lighter, then actually it's taking me more towards the truth, and heavy is usually taking you away. So there are things that you can work on to develop that connection with that inner knowing and that inner intuitive. And I use it a lot in my healing work with my clients. I've learned how to read what's going on inside of them, just by practicing, really, and it really helps the process when we're working together. It's like we become as one, and we're just dancing with the wisdom that's there. And so that's a really wonderful way to be in touch with that,
I love
divine
that.
wisdom as it comes through, and it comes like, for me, I do get these like subtle whispers, like you don't hear it with your ears, but you just know something is being said to you, and you open to that. I mean, a lot of the time when I was continuing to do inner journey work on myself at the beginning, because I wanted to clear everything, a lot of the messages that were coming through were things like trust.
Yep.
Trust, because obviously that for me was the biggest thing that I needed to get, because I was coming from a place of needing to survive. So how can you trust when you have to survive? I didn't trust men for years, because I thought they were all animals because of the experience I had. And so really to get that message of trust, and eventually I started to put that into action and start actually trusting and see what that was like. And, then you would get the feedback coming through whatever was happening in your environment, which confirmed that it was worth trusting, And so that nurtured that, and you grew in trust over time. That was really beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Before we close the show, let's talk about that. How do you elevate the lives around you, and what is the work that you do with your clients?
Well, the clients that come to me are mostly people who are suffering with some kind of issue. So it might be a relationship issue, for example, and if they don't do something about it, they may end up getting divorced. This kind of situation, or they have a health issue. Myself, I was cured of cancer. So, people knowing that, they come to me sometimes with their own cancer issues, or it's an issue of being bullied at work, or, different kinds of things. But they don't come to me just for that, because they know that I am a spiritual guide, spiritual teacher. And so they have tried conventional methods. I'm actually also a therapeutic counselor, but I don't think that therapy, psychotherapy, counseling, really gets you very far. It kind of can move the furniture around, if you like, but you don't really get that transformation.
I've heard that before. Literally, I've heard that, like psychotherapists and therapy, whatever. It's like moving the furniture around. You don't really accomplish anything, but you're just moving the furniture around. I'm like, wow. And I've heard this a couple times.
You can get addicted to that. It can take years to get well.
Yep.
Whereas
Yep.
my work, one session with me is equal to about a year's psychotherapy in terms of what you can achieve. Just one session can be totally transformative, and that's why I call my work truly transformational, because it is. For example, one lady, she came to me who, her husband used to shout a lot at her that she was stupid. You're stupid. You're stupid. And she used to hear it all the time. And it really damaged her self-worth, her self-esteem. And she came to me in tears. She couldn't stand it anymore. She didn't know what to do. She had 3 kids. She didn't want to damage the kids by, upsetting the marriage and all of that. But she needed, to work on herself and understand, how to relieve herself of this tearfulness, this depression. So, we worked at going inside, diving inside of her, and unearthing a memory from childhood, which actually put her low self-esteem in place. Where she had some experience that left her feeling that she was not worth anything. Rejection and criticism from the parents and so on.
Yeah.
So she worked through all of that, like I did with the rapist. You empty out everything, you have a conversation, you say whatever needs to be said, you acknowledge the feelings and so on. And from that session, she really got in touch with her true worth, her true self-worth, that, like I was saying before, that nothing that's happening on the outside really needs to affect whatever you are on the inside. You're magnificent in your own right. And when she came out of that, the next time that her husband started shouting at her, she said, that's an interesting point of view. That's your point of view. It's not my point of view. She started to be able to assert herself and not take it on board. So she wasn't taking it in as a wound. She was just taking it in as, that's interesting, but it's not for me. Thank you. And it just flew straight past her, over the shoulder. And within a very short space of time, something like a week, he stopped, abusing her like that. And their relationship improved. And they even went into like a honeymoon period. And they're still together now. This is, quite a while ago. Just
awesome.
From that one session where she recognized her true worth. So this elevated her. It brought her up to being in touch with the higher part of who she is, and claiming it and starting to live from that place instead of buying into this victim aspect that she'd, you know, when you're not aware that you're playing the victim aspect, it overtakes you, doesn't it? You know, you believe that's what you are, that's all there is. However, when you develop an awareness, you can see that that's just a part that's being played out. So you loosen the connection to it. You can let go of that and really embrace who you really are. You know, so when you see that playing out anytime, you know, oh, there's victim again. Hello, victim. How are you? You know, but you're saying it from this place of wider awareness, wider embrace. So completely elevated. And she was so amazed with the effect of that, the transformation that she went through, that she then went into the workplace. So she was being bullied a little bit as well because she's had this low self-esteem. So, you know, that bears out how she felt. In this new place, she created a new position for herself and started to teach mindfulness and meditation in the workplace. And this is a multinational corporation that is a nerdy, geeky corporation, you know, to do with chemicals and all of that. You know, you wouldn't think that they would entertain the idea of, you know, meditation.
Yeah, for sure.
And she's even been recognized by the government for her efforts. You know, absolutely amazing. She now runs retreats as well.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to do a shameless plug. You can plug friends, quotes, websites, Facebook, whatever it is that you want the audience to know and to do. Shameless plug moment. Go.
My website is called trulytransformational.co.uk, so you can turn up there and find out a lot more about me. Or come and join my Facebook, Truly Transformational as well, Facebook group. And I do have a freebie. If you join the group, you're offered the chance to have a free guide about finding the gift in negative emotions, which is quite handy. You know, learning to see what the treasure is in the emotions that we go through that are so negative and so devastating sometimes. So that's quite good. What else can I say? That's it, really. You know where to find me. Come and join me.
Yeah, all good, all good. So I'd like to close the show by giving a nugget of knowledge that will motivate, transcend, and inspire someone to take action beyond the show.
I think it's so important to find that still space. And it's through the still space that divine wisdom arises, where you get insights, where you get inspiration, where you get answers. And the best way to find that still space is to do some breathing and focus on the breath. And what I usually do is tell people to breathe in through the nose to a count of 4. Pause at the top of the breath to a count of 4. Breathe out through the mouth to a count of 4. And pause at the bottom of the breath to a count of 4. And what happens is when you pause at the top and bottom of the breath, that's where you find the stillness.
Right.
You get a taste of what stillness is about. And the more you focus on that stillness, the more you can allow to come through what needs to come through for your own healing and elevation. Because we don't need to control anything or make anything work or come to some major decision by working it out through analysis. All we need to do is open to the wisdom that's already here, the love that's already here, the insights that are already here for you, just waiting for you to connect. And the connection is through stillness. That's what I would say.
I love it. I love that. Thank you for sharing that with us. So, Joy, it has been an absolute joy and pleasure to have you on the show, to learn more about you, and I look forward to continuing our relationship, on social media. And I want to thank you for sharing your vulnerability, your story, your transformational moment with me and the listeners.
Thank you. It's been really lovely to be on the show with you today, and I really enjoyed our conversation. And I'm so grateful to be in this space now where I am and being able to have an opportunity to share it with everyone. Thank you, Sean.
Yep, you're welcome. Absolutely. Life Transformation Radio listeners, if anything resonated with this episode and with you, please contact Joy. Facebook, LinkedIn. Her website is trulytransformational.co.uk. trulytransformational.co.uk. And she has a Facebook group, Truly Transformational. Join the Facebook group. Look at her website, contact her on LinkedIn and on Facebook and LinkedIn. So with that, I want to leave you with this. Please subscribe to Life Transformation Radio wherever you're comfortable listening to podcasts. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, Player FM, CastBox, Overcast. Everywhere that podcasts are available, you can find us. And with that, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live a great life.